Right. Good afternoon, students. In this session, we are going to continue from where we last session left off. So we were talking about what type of costs are there. In last session, probably if you could remember or recall back, we had some uh, terms that are used for costing. There are 7 terms. I told you to remember that in 3 categories. The first and second category each consists of 2 terms, and the third category consists of 3 terms. If you are not able to remember that, I will show you the slide. The first 2 categories, it talks about job and batch costing. Second category, process and department. And third one, operating cost, unit cost, and multiple cost. So we have seen up to department costing. So now we are moving to operating costing. So operating cost deals with the cost that is involved in providing the services. If you are offering a service, the revenue, the cost or the expense that is levied upon it is termed as operating cost. For example, you are staying in Coimbatore in a particular location and you want to switch over your residence to some other city. So you want to move the entire content, your household items, everything what you have need to be transported to your new location. So in that case, you are getting a help from the service provider. Say for example, we are having many service offering consultants under the term called packers and movers. Packers and movers. Their job is you just give them the address where you want to move the content. They will come to your home. They will pack the content by themselves. There is no need for you to do anything. They will pack perfectly in a safest mode and they will bring the vehicle. They will load the entire content and they will deliver it to your new place. And not only delivery, then they will just uh, unload the material to your new location. So this is the work of the packers and movers. Now for doing this, they charge some amount for doing this services. This is called as operating cost. To do a particular task, they will be charging you a cost. So that is called as operating cost. This operating cost are n number of types. Even you and me are using this type of operating cost without our knowledge. If you just look around, you can find many examples. For example, for every 2 months, you are paying electricity bill. It is an operating cost. A service is provided by the electricity board and you are paying what you enjoyed for the 2 months in terms of electricity. So this is what operating cost is all about. Then you have any other works to do related to your household. You can hire a person for completing the task. It also comes under operating cost. Similarly, in industry also, you have operating cost. So operating cost is based on the revenue invested or the expense incurred for carrying out a particular task. Now, usually this cost is based on certain parameters. Usually we talk it on the basis of how much distance it has been covered. Right. So when you go for transport service, as you see in the slide, the example is there, transport service. Now you want to take up a private bus or government bus and you want to travel up to Salem, they will give you a charge. The charge is based on the number of the how many kilometers you are going to travel by using the public transport or the government transport. So a charge is levied upon you based on the number of kilometers, the total number of kilometers you have traveled. So that charge is basically decided by authority and it is being charged for every person. And not only that, you can go for many other examples where you are extending that type of services. Now, similarly, when you go for this is one of the examples. What you are seeing is the grid, the transportation or the electricity transportation from one location to another. So it involves its own operating cost. Now, unit cost, operating cost is the cost that is involved in carrying out a particular function or operation. Now, when you come for unit cost method, this unit cost method is applicable for a product which is not going to change. It is going to be there without major modifications. Example, what you are seeing in this slide is a mine, an image of a mine or quarry. So there the process is same. There is not the process of what they are subjected to is not going to change. So this talks about unit cost. So here the process is remains same. Number of years, number of days, how many years you work upon, the process is going to be same. So here we talk about unit cost method. Multiple cost method. In multiple cost method, as the word says multiple, you are not sticking on with a single product. One thing is sure. When you say the word multiple, one thing is very clear that the content, the product what you are going to use is going to differ. You are going to have different products. You will be the same operating person, you will be the same company, but you are engaged in different products. You just give me 2 minutes of time, please. I will join again. Sorry for the disturbance. Now, this in this multiple cost, a company will be there, and that company will be producing or manufacturing different products. And when they are subjected to different projects or products, they come under the multiple branding system. And now in this multiple branding system, for example, you are having uh, you take any mobile brand, you are having different type of products. In the same for the same mobile, you are having different models. So you may have a doubt that whether sir this particular mobile phone, if I'm going to take for Samsung, we are having n number of models. Say for example, let us assume that there are 12 models. Will it come under multiple cost method? Now the point is every 10 to 12 models are there, but they all belong to same category mobile phones. Right. So they doesn't come under multiple. But when you talk about multiple, that same industry will be into manufacturing different type of components. For example, as you see in the slide, there is an image where it shows you are having a company that are into manufacturing of engine parts. They are into manufacturing of various type of bolts. They are into manufacturing of wheels. They are into washers. So they will be producing different products at the same time. Now, when this is the case, then that particular industry will be sticking on with multiple costing method, because every single type of product will have its own method of costing analysis. So when I say Samsung, it is having 12 products, 12 different models, but even though they are having 12 models, they all come under same umbrella. Though there are 12 models of mobile phones, they still comes under same category called mobile phones. But when an industry is there which is subjected to different items, say for example, the bolts. In bolts, you have different type of classification, M6, M5, M4 bolts. So if they are into different type of bolts, still they come under bolt. So it is a single product. If they are going for manufacturing of washers, different sized washers will come under same category. But the industry will be into different products. It will be manufacturing bolts and nuts. It will be manufacturing washers. It will be manufacturing seats for the vehicles. It can be manufacturing even the outer cover parts of different automobiles, even four-wheeler or two-wheeler. But the agenda is they will be into production of more than one variety of components. So when that is the case, then it's considered as multiple cost method. Now, when we come for classification of cost, now this is the most important 16-mark question for you guys. Classification of cost. You should be knowing how the different classifications are made based on cost. Okay, under what term you are classified. Now, based on this understanding only, you are going to solve the problems. There will be number of terms will be given with expenses, and you are subjected to find out what is the net profit of the company, whether the company is under loss or profit. So this you can identify only when you know the real meaning of that are used in costing. So when you go for that particular type, the first classification is classification of cost according to element. Element in the sense, what are the major classification for costing? So usually for any industry, you need material and manpower for running the business majorly. And here in this case, the machines are not got into account. When you look carefully, you are having material cost. That machine, what you are talking about machine, that machine is directly got into this material. Because without machine, you cannot do the thing. So when you go for general classification of cost, according to elements, you have material cost, labor cost, and overhead cost. அப்போ ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் சால்வ் பண்ணும்போது மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்ட், லேபர் காஸ்ட், ஓவர்ஹெட் காஸ்ட், இது மூணுத்தை பத்தி உங்களுக்கு தெரியும். மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்ட் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் த காஸ்ட் that are spent on purchasing of material or purchasing of the major instrument or equipment what is required. Labor cost is the expense that is carried out for recruiting the laborers or for paying the salary for the labor. And overhead charges are those charges that are indirectly acting upon this type of production process. So that is your first classification. Classification of cost according to elements. Now classification of cost according to function. Function based பண்ணி நீங்க பிரிக்கும் போது you are having production cost. Production costs are the costs that are done in the shop floor, in the manufacturing unit, where the raw material is converted into final product. Raw material converted to final product. So what are the costs involved in that line is called as production cost. Administrative costs are those costs that are made on administration purposes. In last class I told you that sometimes for carrying out a purpose or a process, you need sufficient manpower to take care of other things which are not directly linked to that process what you are doing. This example what is the example I have given you? I have given you the example of a educational institution. An educational institution is for imparting knowledge, transfer of knowledge to the students. And the knowledge sharing is done by teaching and non-teaching faculty. The teaching faculty will be directly linked with the student for imparting the knowledge. But still, an educational institution needs an administrative office where 6 to 7 members or 8 to 10 members will be there working on that. Their work is not directly linked to your education purpose. But they are needed to take care of other activities. If you need a bona fide certificate, who is going to give it? These administrative people will give it. If you want to pay fees, where you will go and pay the fees? Whether you are going to go and pay fees to your faculty members? No. There will be an office where you have to pay the fees. You want to apply for scholarship. So you need a person to support you. So these people who are needed, but they are not directly linked with education, transferring of knowledge, but they are needed for smooth running of the business, smooth running of the process. So they are called as administrative people. Now this administrative people is required in all cases, whether it is an educational institution, whether it is a private business platform, it is an industry, whatever it may be. So the cost that is involved, paying the salary to these people, procurement of stationery items for administrative people, the furniture that is required, the system that is required for these people to work on, it is called as administrative cost. Now, the second example I will give you, you have gone to a hospital, right? In hospital, people used to go there for getting treatment for their diseases, right? To get cured, people go to hospitals. But you can see in hospitals, there are certain people available who take care of process that are related to that particular administrative authorities, which are doing the work that is relevant for the service for which they are meant for. ஒரு ஹாஸ்பிட்டலுக்கு என்ன சர்வீஸ் கொடுக்கணுமோ அந்த சர்வீஸை டெலிவர் பண்றதுக்கு சில பேர் தேவை. They are not nurses, they are not doctors, they are not surgeons, but they are needed for making the operation smoother, making the process to go in a smoother manner. நீங்க அந்த ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ல போனீங்கன்னா when you enter into a hospital, you can find there is a reception. Receptionக்கும் ஹாஸ்பிட்டலுக்கு என்னப்பா சம்பந்தம்? What is the relation between a reception counter and hospital where the patients are being treated? You need certain information. You cannot go and knock the door of doctor doing a surgery for basic information. You need a person to help it out. So therefore, you need a reception counter. So the employee who is there are called as administrators. They are for supporting the process. Cash counter இருக்கும், bill counter இருக்கும், right? They are not directly related to your surgery. They are not related to your treatment, but they are needed. So administrative costs are those costs which are needed, but they are required indirectly for smooth flow of operation. So any revenue, any pound or rupees spent on them are called as administrative costs. Third one is selling cost. Selling cost means you have manufactured your product, but you want to sell it, and for to sell it, you need location so that you can promote your product, right? For example, let us say mobile phone is there. Mobile phone is manufactured by their particular branded companies. Say for example, Apple phone, no Samsung, Redmi, different phones are there. Now they are manufacturing at one place. You have never ever seen where it is being manufactured, right? But those products are available in your location. அப்போ அந்த லொகேஷன்ல the product வருது இல்லையா? எங்கேயோ somewhere it has been manufactured and it is being delivered to your location. So there is a cost involved in promoting your product, in making the product to reach at your location. So that is called as selling cost. If I take a wonderful example, so no, Amazon. Now everyone is very interested in online purchasing. If Amazon, Flipkart, you will just get into your smartphone. You will just check your product, what you want. You will place the order. Place the order. The order. Next option, shipping cost. If the total cart value is less than the required value, then it will ask for shipping cost. It will say 500 rupees is your product cost plus shipping cost extra. What is the shipping cost? The cost involved for delivering the product to your location. That is what selling cost is. They will take the charge from you because it is located somewhere. They want to deliver it into your hand. So that is selling cost. Then overhead cost. Overhead cost, the costs that are executed which cannot be brought under these segments. That is called as overhead cost. The second classification is according to function. Third one is classification of cost according to variability. Variability. Now variability என்னென்ன இருக்குன்னு பாருங்க. ஒன்னு வந்து fixed cost, இன்னொன்னு variable cost, semi variable cost. So don't worry about this term. We will be coming in next slide. How it is being defined. Fixed cost na enna? What do you mean by fixed? You cannot change it. It remains same, right? So that is fixed cost. Now in your home, your father or mother have bought a new bike for you. Yamaha la or pudu bike vaangi kodutirukanga, right? Now it is not going to change. Daily kalla adu vera bike mara porthu kedai. It is same. So the cost that is spent on that is called as fixed cost. Variable cost that changes. If ஒரு மாசம் ஓடின பிறகு பைக்ல சின்ன ப்ராப்ளம், you are going to mechanic for setting it right. So then you are spending some amount for setting it right. That is called as variable cost. Fixed cost is one time investment. One time invest பண்ணீங்கன்னா அவ்வளவுதான். You cannot change it. Right? So suppose I am having 2 CNC machines. That CNC machine is called as fixed cost. Variable cost, adalla and the CNC machine la when I am going to work on that, I may be needing a need of some other tools, cutting tools or some other lubricant oils or some other things for using the CNC machine. Then it is called as variable cost. And third one is semi-variable cost. Right, that we will come and see one by one. Now, fourth classification is classification of cost as direct and indirect cost. Direct costs are those costs that directly affects your product. Indirect costs are there which indirectly posed on your product. Right? And then fifth one, classification of cost according to capital and revenue. That we will come once again. So when you go for element of cost, it is divided into these three types. Simple. Just remember, element of cost is divided into three: material, labor, expenses. Material direct இருக்கு, indirect இருக்கு. Labor direct, indirect. Expenses direct, indirect. Indirect costs are those costs which are imposed as a hidden one. It is not directly affecting your product, but it is mandatory. It will be affecting in an indirect way. Right? So when you go for indirect, you have four subdivisions: production overheads, administrative overheads, sales overheads, and distribution overheads. So in the classification of Marandaradina, it comes under 8 marks. So element of cost வந்து எப்படி பிரிக்கிறாங்க? It is divided. Initially, it is divided into three types: materials, labor, and expenses. All these three are divided into direct, indirect. Indirect la போனீங்கன்னா you have four types: production overhead, administrative overhead, sales, and distribution overhead. இதுல இந்த மெயின் இந்த வேர்டை மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க: production, administration, sales, and distribution. That is sufficient for you. Now, இப்ப டைரக்ட்னு சொல்றோம் சார், மெட்டீரியல்ல இன்டைரக்ட்னு சொல்றோம் சார், அப்படின்னா என்ன சார்? அதான் நம்ம பார்க்க மெட்டீரியல்ல டைரக்ட்னு சொல்றோம், இன்டைரக்ட்னு சொல்றோம் அப்படின்னா என்ன சார்? ரொம்ப சிம்பிள். டைரக்ட் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா மெட்டீரியல் பிகம்ஸ் த பார்ட் ஆஃப் ப்ராடக்ட். டைரக்ட் காஸ்ட்னா என்ன? அந்த டைரக்ட் காஸ்ட ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ண அமௌண்ட் ப்ராடக்டா வெளில வரும். சார் நான் ஒரு டேபிள் செய்ய போறேன் சார், ஐ நீட் எ ரைட்டிங் டேபிள். ரைட்டா? எனக்கு ஒரு உடன் டேபிள் வேணும் படிக்கிறதுக்கு, உட்கார்ந்து எழுதுறதுக்கு. ஐ நீட் எ டேபிள் அப்படின்னு நீங்க விருப்பப்படுறீங்கன்னா, உங்களோட அந்த ப்ராடக்ட் டேபிள் செய்யணும்னா உங்களுக்கு மெட்டீரியல் தேவை. என்ன மெட்டீரியல் தேவை? உங்களோட ஆசை என்ன? வாட் இஸ் யுவர் டிசைர்? எனக்கு ஒரு நல்ல அழகான ஒரு உடன் டேபிள் தேவை. அப்போ ஹியர் த மெட்டீரியல் இஸ் வுட். நவ் த வுட் becomes the direct material, direct cost. That will be direct material. So without wood, you cannot have your product. So any cash or any cost that is spent on purchasing of required wood is called as direct material cost. Direct material cost. Right? Indirect material அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, to convert this material into product, you need some content or some material that helps you to convert the raw material to your product. Direct material என்ன சொன்னேன்? எனக்கு ஒரு டேபிள் தேவை சார், அந்த டேபிள் எனக்கு வுட்ல இருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும். ஸோ வுட்டை நான் போய் வாங்குறேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, வுட் becomes my direct material. அந்த வுட் இல்லைன்னா நல்லா டேபிள் செய்ய முடியாது. ஸோ வுட் பிகம்ஸ் மை பிரைம் ரிசோர்ஸ், பிரைம் சோர்ஸ். இன்டைரக்ட் மெட்டீரியல் என்னன்னா, ஃபார் கன்வெர்ட்டிங் திஸ் வுட் இன்டு டேபிள் ஐ மே நீட் நெயில்ஸ். ஆணிகள் தேவைப்படலாம், ஃபெவிகோல் தேவைப்படலாம். இப்போ டேபிள் ஹேஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் செக்மெண்ட்ஸ் இல்லையா? 4 கால் இருக்கும், ஒரு பிளாட் ரெக்டாங்குலர் ஷேப் இருக்கும். யூ மே ரிக்வயர் a drawer to put something on. So you are having different parts in a table, wood table. அப்ப அந்த wood element fix பண்றதுக்கு you need certain accessories. It may be nail, ஆணி தேவைப்படலாம். Fevicol you may need to join the parts of wooden parts. So this nail or Fevicol are considered as indirect material. This indirect material are required to complete the task. இது இல்லைன்னா பண்ண முடியாது, ஆனா இது தேவை. But it indirectly helps you to complete the project. So that type of materials are called as indirect material. The cost that is spent on that is called as indirect material cost. Indirect material cost. Right? இப்போ இன்னொரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றேன் பாருங்க. இப்போ உங்க ரூம் இருக்கு, ஸ்டடி ரூம் இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. assume that you are having a study room, right? அந்த ஸ்டடி ரூம்ஸ்ல நீங்க டைல்ஸ் ஒட்டணும்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க. ரொம்ப பழுத்தா இருக்கு சார், ரூம் கொஞ்சம் பார்க்கறதுக்கு கொஞ்சம் கேட்சியா இருக்கணும், நல்லா இருக்கணும் சார், ஃப்ளோரிங்லாம் சரியில்லை சார், சிமெண்ட் ஃப்ளோரிங்கா இருக்கு, டைல்ஸ் போட்டா நல்லா இருக்கும் சார், இது அப்படின்னு நீங்க விருப்பப்படுற மெட்டீரியல். பிகாஸ் யுவர் அவுட்புட் ஸ்டார்டட் வித் டைல்ஸ், பார்க்கறதுக்கு நல்லா இருக்கும், டைல்ஸ் இருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும். இப்போ டைல்ஸ்ங்கிறது உங்களுக்கு டைரக்ட் மெட்டீரியல், ரைட்? Now to fix the tile you require additional material, right? அந்த சிமெண்ட், அந்த டைலை ஒட்டுறதுக்கு நீங்க உங்களுக்கு என்ன தேவைப்படும்? அடிஷனல் மெட்டீரியல் தேவைப்படும். சிமெண்ட் தேவைப்படும், மாட்டர் தேவைப்படும், ரெண்டு டைல்ஸ்க்கு நடுவில் ஒட்டுற பேஸ்ட் தேவைப்படும், ரைட்டா? தமிழ்ல பட்டி மாவுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க இல்லையா? You need that. Now these materials are considered as indirect material, because without this indirect material you cannot complete the process of tile work. Tile work உங்களால முடிக்க முடியாது. But tile is direct material. To make the tile work complete you need additional material. That additional material is called as indirect material. Tile வாங்குறதுக்கு நீங்க செலவு பண்ற amount, the cost you spent on getting the tiles is called as direct material. The secondary materials that are required to complete the process, the cost that is involved on that is called as indirect material cost. Simple. சரியா? Is the material. So this is direct material cost, indirect material cost. Now labor cost. Labor cost la இதே மாதிரி தான் வரும். Direct labor la யாரு? Those who are going to work on it. I am having a CNC machine part. I am having a skilled CNC labor worker, operator. Now that skilled CNC operator is called as direct labor. He will be directly working on the process, right? Indirect labor na yaru? He will not be working directly on the process, but he will be walking, he will be supporting. அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா யாரு? எக்ஸாம்பிள் பாருங்க, கீழே என்ன கொடுத்துருக்கு? எக்ஸாம்பிள் சூப்பர்வைசர், இன்ஸ்பெக்டர், ஸ்டோர் கீப்பர், வாட்ச்மேன், இவங்க தான் வேலை. So they are indirect labor. They don't get into the process, they help in doing the process. அவங்க ப்ராசஸ் நடக்கிறதுக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவாங்க, உதவியா இருப்பாங்க. they act as a helper to do the process. ஸோ நீங்க சொல்லலாம், என்ன சார் சூப்பர்வைசரை போயிட்டு ஹெல்ப்பர் பண்ணிக்கலாம். சூப்பர்வைசரோட ஒர்க் என்ன? வாட் இஸ் த ஒர்க் ஆஃப் எ சூப்பர்வைசர்? த ஒர்க் ஆஃப் எ சூப்பர்வைசர் இஸ் டு லுக் whether everything is going at the right time with the required quantity perfectly or not. இதுதான் சூப்பர்வைசர் ஒர்க். ஆனா who is working on the component? It is the operator. இதுதான் direct labor, indirect labor. Material expenses la vaanga, direct expenses. Now you leave the sentence. Direct expense are those that are charged directly to the particular job. And the particular job முடிக்கிறதுக்கு டைரக்டா செலவு பண்ற தொகை, that is called as direct expenses. For example, design. ஒரு டிசைன் போடும்போது டிசைன் இன்ஜினியருக்கு கொடுக்கிற salary, direct cost. Manufacturing, production line la the number of workers that are working, what is the total cost involved are called as direct expenses. Indirect expenses எதெல்லாம் வருது பாருங்க? மெட்டீரியல், லேபர், டைரக்ட் எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ். இது தவிர any other expenses that you are doing is called as indirect expenses. that are called as overhead. Indirect expenses எதுவா இருந்தாலும் அதுக்கு பேர் நம்ம என்ன சொல்றோம்? Overhead. ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்லுங்க சார், இன்டைரக்ட் ஓவர்ஹெட் சார்ஜஸ் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, you are having a company, you are working with 50 people, right? அந்த 50 peopleக்கு overhead expenses என்ன ஆகும் சார் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, you are having a fan for them. ஒரு ரெஸ்ட் ரூம்ல ஒரு உட்கார்ந்து கொஞ்சம் ரெஸ்ட் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு ரூம் இருக்கு, ஃபார் ரிட்டையரிங் ரூம்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ரிட்டையரிங் ரூம்ல you are having 2 fans for making them to take 10 to 15 minutes time for idle time for to take rest, right? This is called as overhead cost. You are having 5 water cans for them. Whenever they are thirsty, they can go and have a drink a cup of water. Overhead cost. You are having a coffee machine to make them feel getting relieved from the stress. Continuous வேலை பண்ணும்போது டயர்ட் ஆகுது சார், ஒரு காஃபி மிஷின் வாங்கி வைக்கிறீங்க. This is overhead cost. This is not directly linked to your process, but this you are providing to make stress free, right? இதெல்லாம் இருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி நீங்க சப்போர்ட்டிவா கொடுக்குறீங்கன்னா that is called as overhead cost. Example. So இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய overhead costs எல்லாம் வரும். So all those overhead costs are considered as indirect expenses. இப்ப இந்த ஓவர்ஹெட் காஸ்ட்ல என்னென்ன வரலாம், நான் ஒரு 2 எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொன்னேன் இல்லையா, இதுல வேற என்னென்ன வரலாம் அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, ஃபேக்டரிக்குள்ளார என்னென்ன வரும்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, காஸ்ட் ஃபியூல், ரைட்டா? இப்போ ஒர்க்கர் இருக்காங்க, இப்ப கேட்ல இருந்து நம்ம உள்ளார கொண்டு வரணும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா அதுக்கு ஒரு சர்வீஸ் கொடுக்கணும். யூ ஆர் ஹேவிங்
Hello, sir.
Bro, sir, network issue wala. Sir, meeting.
போயிட்டாரா?
உனக்கு நெட்வொர்க் இஷ்யூ போல இருக்கு. வாய்ஸ் அந்த மணிக்கு பிரேக் ஆகுது.
ஏய், இருக்கு. வெயிட்.
ஏப்ப விட்டு கிளாஸ் பண்ண வெளியே போயிடலாமாடா?
ஆல்ரெடி அவன் பேர் குரூப்ல போட்டாச்சுடா.
இரு,
எங்கடா
இன்னும் time
ஏன்டா
இருக்கு.
வெளிய போறதுல இருக்கீங்க? உள்ள வரதுல முதல்ல இருக்குங்க.
ரெக்கார்டிங் ஆன்ல தான் இருக்கு.
நம்ம ஆஃப் பண்ணுவோம்.
ஏய் குரூப்ல என் பேர் போட்டா என்னடா பண்ண முடியும்? இங்க நானே காட்டுக்குள்ள உட்காந்துட்டு இருக்கிறேன். டவர் கிடைக்காம.